how to create amazing colourful effects with images using Apply Image. You can combine in many different ways, try out loads of different blending modes, also use channels, use masks, etc. to create all kinds of images, infinitely flexible, PC or Mac. So how to do that? Open up an image, go to the Layers panel, and this is the key panel, Layers panel, and you'll see it's locked. So deselect that, make certain it's not locked anymore, then go to Layer and Smart Objects and convert to Smart Object. Smart Objects are great because you can change them, tweak them at any point in the future. Whereas if you apply a basic effect, that's it. You can't change things. So convert to Smart Object. And now you can see it's a Smart Object. I can go to Filter and I can add any of these filters to it and they're infinitely changeable. So Motion Blur, I'm just going to go for that. And I'm going to start with 0 as the angle. I want it going across, left to right, 1094. You can put any value you want. Click OK. And you can see you've got a smart filter there and a mask for it. And you can tweak the thing at any point just by double clicking. And I'm going to do that in a sec. If you want to see the apply image bit, go forward about 2 or 3 minutes and you will see how these are all used. But this is the setup that you need to do if you're going to create filter effects, maybe a blurring effect, maybe a liquefy effect, distortions, color effects. All of them can be just set up, combined as layers, which can be then blended using the apply image. So this one, just go and duplicate it. So layer and duplicate layer. So I've got another one. This one I'm going to have, now I'm just going to rename that one. So that's the left. But I can edit this one. So double click and I'm going to go for 90. So 90 there, so it's up and down. Click OK. I'm using exactly the same blur radius thing. So you can see now up and down. And I'm just going to call that, double click it so I can call it up. Just makes it easier just to name it. Again, layer and duplicate layer. And this one I'm going to go for 45. So again, double click and set that to 45. So you can see now it's going that way. The other layers you can't see, they're hidden. But you can combine it using that apply image. So click OK. And I'm going to call that diagonal one. Layer, and this is the last one I'm just going to do. So, and I can just change it here. Diagonal 2, make it even quicker. Click OK. So diagonal 2 and double click on that one and set it to -45. So it's going the other direction. And click OK. Using all the same values. You don't have to. You could maybe change the values if you're reasonable as well for the 1094. Now I could use blend modes. I could run through here. But it's fairly, you have to go to the next one, next one, next one, and keep changing them till you're happy. Now, it's quite flexible. I'm not saying it isn't flexible. But with the apply image, you can also blend in channels as well and combine them in multiple ways. But you also need a layer. You could work with this one, but you can't because apply image is not available to smart objects. Weirdly, I don't know why, but it's not. So you need to go layer and new and layer and click OK. And that's going to be the one I'm working on. And it needs something to be filled. So edit and fill. I'm going to go with white. You could go with black, green, blue, gradients, whatever. So you got your layer. Now finally, apply image. So, and apply image works on that layer, the layer that you got selected. That's the key thing to always remember. The layer you selected, now I could work on another layer, select that, but that's the one I want to work on. The source, so you could actually have other files where you've got lots of images set up to be distortions or whatever, colourful effects, and you could then bring those in and use those as sources as well as layers, which is something that would be tricky to do with the layers panel. But here you can say up and you've got left. So I've got up here, I'm going to use that. Also, you could decide, you know what, I just want to use the red channel, the green channel, or the filter mask. Which, of course, there isn't one. But RGB first, and you've got blend modes. In this case, because it's first, just click it. Click OK. So I've got my first application. Image, apply image. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't come with a shortcut. It's weird. You'd think you'd have a shortcut, but you can always set a shortcut up. And this one, left. So you can now see you've got your effect going that way and that way. Now, because it's normal, you're not seeing anything. But you can always go through and say, I want lighten or difference or vivid light. Just try them out. So linear light. And click OK. Also, you can add masking. So I've got here diagonal 2. I'm just going to go to diagonal 2. I'm going to click there. And you can fill that mask, as long as that's selected, and you can see that box around it, that's what's being used. And I'm using a gradient. So I'm just going to go over here and a very basic gradient, apply that, and you can see it there. It's not to the image because it's just hidden anyway. So it's just applied to the mask. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to use it later. Again, go back to that layer. So there's the layer selected, always a key thing. Image, apply image. And this time you can go diagonal 1. And you can see now what happens. It's applied. It's still using the same blending mode that you had last time. Don't have to keep it. You could go for, say, linear dodge and add. So you can see you've got this odd effect, very Dave McKean-like, sort of cutting off at different angles and make it a very strange act. Again, you can go for masks, you can set up various things. You can also use, instead of that, you could use the red channel, the green channel, blue channel, filter mask, which is blank, so that's not going to be transparency. So you could just use that. I'm going to go with RGB. So that's applied. Now go to image again, apply image. Again, this could be as a shortcut. You could create a shortcut for it. Diagonal 2. And now it's going the other direction. So you've got the diagonal, you've got the up and down, left and right, crisscross. It's a crisscross, multi-directional motion blur. Be nice if there was a filter that does that. But you can also just go here and you can say hard light this time or vivid light. Just try that. Again, change the opacity, tweak it. Don't have to go 100%. Channels, again, go with the channels. So you can decide, you know what, I want the green channel for the diagonal 2. You can also invert it, which you can get very nice, unusual inversion there as well. Try out different blending modes with that. Though you can end up confusing yourself with masks inverted as well as RGB inverted. I've done that a few times where I think, oh, that's strange. Why doesn't it work? And of course, it's been inverted. But I'm just going to go click OK. You can always, of course, go to image adjustments and maybe use levels, vibrance in between. So if you want to, just brighten it up as well. Click OK there. So you've got that. You can also combine it with masks, because in the case of this one, image, apply image, and you can apply it again, diagonal 2. But this time, instead of RGB, filter mask. And this time you can use it because it's got a mask. It's got that one there. That's the one you created. You could have added it to all the others. All the others are all blank, but you could add, everyone could have had a different mask. And again, blend modes, run through that, decide, and you can see the mask obviously there, making quite an influence there. Multiply, color dodge. I'm going to go with that. Click OK. And of course you could have a layer that's just the original image as well. If you wanted to, then you could combine that back in as well, the flexibility of these. And again, go here, image, apply image, again, make certain you're using the top one, and you decide, you know what, I want the left to right. And you can apply that. So color dodge, you can go for pin light or difference, or maybe use add and subtract. Now these blending modes are not readily available elsewhere. You can't go to the blending modes in the layers, so subtract or add. So let's just go for add, and you can change the scale of the add or the offset, make it darker, lighter, and tweak it in all kinds of ways. Click OK again. So you can see now you've got very strange, crisscross, blurring, colourful image. And of course you can still go and combine other filters, so it's not restricted. So you can go to filter and stylize and oil paint. I'm going for 3.4, 4.1, just apply a bit of a smearing effect there. Again, image, go down to apply image, and again, change blend modes, and run through screen, linear burn. It's a great way of exploring, and you could maybe use up this time and so on, all the blue. You could do it in layers, but I think this is actually quite a great way of exploring a lot of interesting colour effects and combinations that you could do. But I think apply image is super useful for many different things. And of course, you got this result. It's a layer as well, strange enough. And you can turn around and say, well, I want that. I'm going to use that as well. So layer and layer new, create a new layer. This time, just edit and fill. I'm going to fill it with black. You don't have to fill it with white or green. Fill it with a gradient. Again, image menu, and that's selected. That's the key thing. Image menu, apply image, and then go there, diagonal, blue. It's got vivid light, so that's not what I want. And you can see linear burn, lighten. Let's go for one of those ones. Blue channel, I want RGB, so you can see some colour. Blend mode, lighten, you can change it, overlay, difference, click OK. And again, image, apply image, diagonal, diagonal 2, go the other direction. Difference, maybe not, and linear light, click OK. And you've got another layer. And of course you can, if you want to, just use the blending modes here. Just go to layer, with that layer selected, you've got that image as well. Always just simply go down there, and you can then, if you want to, blend through and say exclusion or difference or hue, saturation, etc. Though, personally, the apply image I think is pretty good. Well, hope you found this tutorial of interest. Any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Always great to hear from you. Thank you much.